Trevor Bauer, former Dodgers pitcher now playing in Japan, has settled a massive Me Too case over allegations that he was in the wrong versus naughty behavior for things he did during his time when he was in LA. And the details he has leaked are insane in terms of what was going on behind the scenes and the maliciousness and pure evil of this accuser, Lindsey Hill, who was attempting to ruin his life for millions of dollars because she wanted to secure that bag. We're going to get into it today and get into the details that Trevor released because this is something that everybody needs to know and really pay attention to when it comes to their personal dealings. Of course, I am Andrew Esquire, and this is The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and let Trevor tell you his story about what happened with Lindsey Hill.
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. "What should I steal?" she asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? "I'm going to his house Wednesday," she said. "I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll." Then, after the first time we met, "Net worth is 51 mil, she said. "Bitch, you better secure the bag," was the response. But how is she going to do that? "Need daddy to choke me out," she said. "Being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text.
But of course, she's the victim, right? Of course, women can never initiate this. Of course, they can never be the ones to start it. They can never do this, right? Never, ever. Right off the bat, from the beginning of this, we are seeing from Trevor the explanation that, hey, it is really her that went out and targeted him. There's this widespread belief, particularly when it comes to these types of claims, Me Too claims, that the men are predators. There's this view that is being populated out there, and it still is populated to this day, that men are predators because men are stronger, they're bigger, they have more money, so they must be the predators, right? They must be the ones preying on these women. Is there anything about this woman's behavior, anything about the way she is conducting herself that you're seeing right now? And these are, of course, released court documents. So these have gone through an evidentiary process. These have gone through a process where we can say they are reliable information. They're not just a bald accusation that has not been vetted. He is able to say this knowing that it is backed up by the court. So now that we're seeing this actual evidence, this actually vetted information, when we look at that, who's the predator? Who is the predator? Is it the pitcher, or is it the lady who's going after the pitcher? That's the important thing to look at here, is who is coming for who. And let's listen up to the rest of his story here because it only gets crazier from here on out.
Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, "You got to get this bag." "I'll give you 50,000, Lindsey replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, "Do you feel a tiny bit guilty?" "Not really," she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsey Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsey Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us.
Things like this are exactly why I say that there's no evidence until you go to court. What Mr. Bauer is explaining here is the fact that this is the social media evidence. These are things that she would hide, right? So she's hiding this video. She's hiding this that she had on her phone, that she had probably sent out to other folks on social and privately, that shows that she was not injured, that she was not beaten up, that she was not abused, and that she was in a consensual relationship with Mr. Bauer, a consensual, presumptively sexual relationship with Mr. Bauer. And in fact, that all of these claims were fabricated. It shows that if you're going to say, okay, we were here where you're in his bed, right? You're clearly in a position where it's kind of a sexual relationship. That's the presumption. You're in the bed together. You leave the house right after that. The metadata kind of confirms that. So obviously you were not abused. You were not beaten up. But yet she'll go out on social media and make these other claims, say, oh no, I was a victim, I was beat up, look at this. You'll put a doctored photo out there, an Amber Heard level photo out there that is absolutely nothing, and everybody flocks to Mrs. Hill. Everybody flocks to the cause because it's a woman. We got to defend our woman because obviously they do not lie. This is why I take a strong standard with the word evidence. Some other lawyers don't do this. Some other lawyers will use the word evidence more freely. I don't. Until something has gone through a court process like it did with Mr. Bauer, it is not evidence. It has no evidentiary value. We don't know whether it goes to the truth or not. We don't know whether it proves anything or not. It may be absolutely nothing. And in the era of AI, of deep fakes, we need to be incredibly stringent with what we see and whether or not we think that is proof that anything happened. And in the modern era, I mean it's zero. I give it zero value till it goes to court, till it's fully vetted under due process of law, where you have the ability as the accused to challenge that, to say, nope, that's not right, that's completely false, and come up against that. Really, in this era, you have to go there, you have to be there. And I wanted to point that out as we work through this explanation.
After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsay Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low. So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsay Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsay Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in. But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsay Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here, I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits, and neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021. So, as of today, both lawsuits have been settled. Now, over the last 2 years, I've been forced to defend my integrity and my reputation in a very public setting, but hopefully this is the last time I have to do so, as I'd prefer to just remain focused on doing my job, winning baseball games and entertaining fans around the world. So today, I'm happy to be moving on with my life.
And above all, I am happy to hear that Mr. Bauer is moving on with his life, that he's happy it's done. But for me, listening to this saga, it took him millions of dollars, things that are not obtainable for the regular, average day guy, the every guy, right? The guy who's working just as a mid-level employee at a corporation, or a small business owner. They don't have his level of resources to be able to fight multi-year cases against false accusers. How many guys just are absolutely leveled, absolutely zeroed out because of false accusations because they don't have the resources like Mr. Bauer to prove himself right? It's an absolute tragedy. It's an absolute travesty. And I hope that his story is something that's illustrative, not just for him. And I am so happy that he is moving on with his life, that he's going to be able to focus on baseball, but getting out the truth, not just for Mr. Bauer, but for all guys out there, all people who are falsely accused under this system is critical, which is why in this channel I have stayed dedicated to this, because there are so many men out there that are being wronged by the system, that are being wronged by social media, that are being wronged by the court of public opinion. And without us talking about it, without us on these channels supporting these folks, their message would never get out there. No one would ever know who they are. And I hope that you guys can go out there and spread the message of Mr. Bauer and what happened to him and what can happen to people out there, and just let other guys know to be careful, to understand they aren't alone. They aren't the only one going through this. They're not crazy. It's not something that's abnormal when they have somebody that comes out there and is coming for them. Of course, if you guys like this message, if you like this type of video, please make sure to like the video. Just smash the like video really quickly. And if you disagree with me, you can leave a comment on the video. I would love to see what you disagree about, if you disagree about this case, or if you want to hear more about it.